morning, everyone. So nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I'm going to get us just jumping in right away, but I am so grateful and so excited to be here having this conversation with all of you. This is one of my favorite days of the year because we get to talk about all of the amazing clients that have gone through the program this year, all of their amazing growth and transformation. So I can't say enough about the incredible families that we work with. And I really do think that it's excuse me, helpful and hopeful to know what is possible when you have the right neurological support. So in just a few moments, I am going to take you through a little bit of a deeper dive of dyslexia. I want you to understand the neurological underpinnings, what makes it unique from other profiles. But I hope that by the time you leave the session today, that you feel incredibly hopeful, incredibly inspired about what's about to happen. So our number is officially 3,643 clients that we have supported. Fridays are a big day in our company, and so we do expect that at least a few more client data points will come in today. When that number will continue to grow, but we are just absolutely thrilled to be having this conversation. So just a little bit about me, so you know a tiny bit about my background before we dive in. I am the mother of not one, but two dyslexic children. My son is 6 years old and he's going right through this process that all of our clients go through right now. And my daughter is completely on the other side of that. She is thriving. She won the reading award last year at school. She's in the 84th percentile of her class. She is absolutely killing it. I do have a doctorate in education. I'm nationally board certified in early and middle literacy. We've helped thousands of kids, and I've had the opportunity to be, excuse me, a TEDx speaker. So I just this fall, we did a session called The Dyslexic Brain: Rewiring for Reading and Unlocking. What did it go? My little thing is over. Unlocking Potential. Yes, absolutely. And then we've been featured in Forbes and Psychology Today and Women's Journal and many others. And so just super grateful to be getting this message out that there is absolutely something that you can do to support a child with dyslexia. So before we get too far into things, I want you to have a primer to understand why dyslexic brains are the way that they are and why it's not necessarily your fault or your child's fault that things are going the way that they are. So on the left-hand side, you can see an fMRI of a non-dyslexic person. So if these are the eyes up here, you can see that there is activity here in the back part of the brain that we call the occipital lobe, but that's where vision is controlled. And you can also see that over the ears in these areas called the parietal temporal lobes, there's also significant activity. But when you compare that to the brain of a dyslexic, there is a significant difference in how the brain functions during language tasks only. So if we were to look at these two brains side by side when they were just eyes at rest, everybody's just hanging out, they wouldn't look different. But the minute that we put words in front of these two brains and say, read this word, spell this word, write this paragraph, you'll notice that the person with a neurotypical brain has all of this activity to process not only what they see, but be able to connect it in their brain to sound. But when you look at a person with dyslexia, they do not have activity here. So the information comes in, but the brain doesn't know what to do with it, nor is it able to really connect it to sound. And so that's why a person with dyslexia is going to add letters in when they're trying to spell something. That's the reason that they're going to leave letters out or miss a vowel. It's the same reason that they see a word that they might have seen 50, 100, 150 times before and still not recognize what it is. It's because there is not activity in these areas of the brain to help the brain to process that language. So it doesn't mean that you didn't try. It doesn't mean that you didn't review that over and over and over again. But if the brain doesn't have activity there, no amount of trying is going to overcome that. So I think that that's just a super important distinction that you have going into this. And so this is similar information. These are just EEGs instead of an fMRI, but you'll see the same profile. Again, the typical reader who's got a lot more activity in these areas and the reader with dyslexia who does not. But here's the most important part and what we're about to share today. The brain is a pliable organ. It is dynamic and it changes over the course of a life. And so we continue to learn that through these amazing neuroplasticity studies, whether that is people who are doing meditation every day. And they've found that even just through 14 weeks of meditation, you can absolutely change the way that the brain functions. They've studied London cab drivers, people who had to memorize the map of the city, and they recognized that they had different spatial awareness after having to memorize that map. And so it is absolutely possible to reorganize the brain of a child with dyslexia. And it's happened for my own little people in my house too. But that's what we're going to share today is basically what happens within a short window if you every single day are working for 10 to 15 minutes to help the brain to reconnect letters and sounds. And so that is just kind of the basis or the premise behind everything that we're doing and that we're talking about today. But this is getting to the root cause. So the root cause of what makes dyslexia difficult is that there are areas of the brain that are underdeveloped. Once we develop them, everything really, really takes off. And so just a little bit of background for the cases that we are about to review. First of all, again, I want to celebrate the parents who have taken an active and transformative role in their child's literacy progress. Every single one of these people had to say, it's not working. Whether I'm going to tutoring or whether I've been trying this at home through homeschooling my child myself, or we've tried 6, 7 different curriculums the school's tried, but it's not working. And I am willing to take that on myself. Every single one of these people has had that mentality and has done that. Most of our graduates have been already through 2+ years of tutoring with minimal progress before they come here. So it is true that sometimes we end up with clients who just got their diagnosis and they took action right away and they were able to overcome things before any kind of residual effects took place. But most people have already been through the ringer and they've made incredible progress. So we'll talk about that too. A couple of things that are important to know is that we take everybody. And so we do have clients who are homeschooled. We have clients who are in public school. We have clients who are in private school, and we don't control any of their curriculum. We do have families who are in mixed homes, split custody. We have parents who are working with the children. We have grandparents who are working with the children. We have children with ADHD. We have children with vision issues. We have children with autism. We have children with Down syndrome. That doesn't happen a lot, but we have had 2 over the past year. We have children with auditory processing. We have many, many children with working memory and executive functioning deficits. But it's just important to know that we are not helping everybody, and it's possible to make humongous gains, even if people have told you your child is not going to ever make progress. Not true. So before we dive into this data, I do want to just give you a quick primer on statistics as well, so you know when we're talking about percentiles what I actually mean. So what you see in front of you is the normal distribution curve with this 50th percentile being right in the middle. And then you can see that these lines here are what we call standard deviations above the mean and standard deviations below the mean. So anytime that you're working with a child and they are struggling, your number one goal is to move their data as much as humanly possible in the shortest amount of time. And so when researchers have looked at how much growth happens for an average kid in an entire school year, it's this blue line right here. So let's just say the child starts first grade, the average kid would end first grade right here at this blue line, a 0.3 of a standard deviation. So Most kids with dyslexia are not making the same amount of growth as their peers. They're making less. And so maybe they started the year here and maybe they made some progress, but it might move to here. So anytime that you are looking to invest in support for your child, you need that to actually move more than what an average child would grow, because you are trying to catch them up from years or months of being behind. And so you want that intervention, that program, to be more than what an average kid would make. So if we had moderate statistical significance, it would be a 0.5. Or if you had a program that was statistically significant, like you knew without a shadow of a doubt that this program worked for this child, it would move them almost a full standard deviation, or a 0.8. Okay, so I know that that's probably like, wow, she's losing me with all these numbers, but it's important when you see what I'm about to show you. So here's one example of one of our graduates from this year. So she started at the 34th percentile for reading, ended at the 99th percentile for reading, and I'll show you why that's important. So she started here at this 34th percentile, and what she would have done if she made average growth within a year, she would have gone from this red dot to the yellow dot. If the Retrain the Dyslexic Brain program would have moved her a statistically significant amount, she would have moved to this tan dot. But in 5 months' time, Juliet went from this red dot to this green dot, surpassing not only expectations for what everybody else in her grade was doing, but she completely closed the gap and surpassed it within 5 months. And so you're probably asking yourself, like, how on earth did that happen? Well, it happened, if you go back a couple of slides, because we reorganized how her brain was connecting letters and sounds. So it's important that you know that kids with dyslexia are not unintelligent. They are very smart, and most kids with dyslexia have average or above average intelligence. Juliet is as smart as a whip, but it was very, very difficult for her brain to connect letters and sounds. We put those two things together and she absolutely skyrocketed. So here's what that looked like. Here's Juliet's spelling sample that she turned in to us at the beginning of the course. So we do all of these assessments with every kid. Here was Juliet's. So you can see, those of you that are here, like, oh my gosh, I can resonate. I know my child's data look like this too. But she has, words that have letters added in. She's got letters that are missing. She maybe has some of these words that she might have seen before correct. But when you fast forward 5 months later and you look at what happened, it's not only that she was able to write better. And so that's often a question, like, Dr. Troy, you're not working on handwriting. How is it that handwriting got so much better? Handwriting is in a similar area of the brain as the work that we're doing. And so without actually working on handwriting, the handwriting does get better, but it's significant, the change that she was able to make within 5 months. Here's why I think it's so important. This is her mother who said, I want all parents to know that there is always something that you can do. The commitment has to be there. And I decided we are finishing this program. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But her biggest celebration wasn't in just the percentile jumps, but it was in having her daughter's self-belief and joy restored. So I think that's the other piece that's so, so critical to appreciate here, is that it's not just that we're celebrating this humongous jump in her data. We're celebrating that this is a kid who felt less than, who felt sad, who disengaged from learning, from school. Mom might even say, like, there were moments of anger, maybe even depression in there, and she completely restored her self-belief and her joy, which is, to Mom, the absolute most important part. She said, who would she be if I didn't do this? And who will she be now that I did? Which is, I think, the most important part. So we'll go through just two more of these in an in-depth way so that you understand the weight of all of this stuff. But again, if we look at Caleb, another one of our clients, Caleb had some unique things happening too. So Caleb has auditory processing, Caleb has autism, and Caleb had ADHD and dysgraphia and dyslexia. So there were a lot of beliefs about who Caleb was and what he was capable of doing. So when we met Caleb and his mother had already been told by the school, there's really nothing that we can do for Caleb. He's kind of beyond anything that we can help. And so they started taking away opportunities for him. They put him in different classes, they gave him different support, they removed him from other work that other kids his age were doing. It wasn't that Caleb wasn't smart, it's that he wasn't receiving the type of support that his brain needed in order to connect letters and sounds. But again, in 4.5 months, he went from the 7th percentile to the 79th. And so here's what that means. He was at this red dot. And again, if we're looking for an intervention that's going to move the needle, statistically, he would have had to make it to this tannish one. And he moved 1, 2, and a little bit more standard deviations within 4.5 months. And why that matters is that he had been struggling and struggling and struggling and going to intervention and, support group and tutoring and all of these things to try to make a difference. And it just wasn't working. And so Caleb started to internalize, it must be me. There must be something wrong with me that I can't learn. I'm stupid. I can't grow. But the change that happens when kids see that they're finally able to do these things is absolutely life-changing. So if you take a look at Caleb's writing sample before he started, you can see something similar to what Juliet's looked like. Again, added letters that don't belong, omitted letters, confused vowels. This, oh, that's not good. I don't know why you can't see that. Hold on, let's see if you can see it in this view. I don't know if there's a way for me to blow this up. Let me try really quickly. Let's see why you can't see that. Well, anyhow, his handwriting looks absolutely, completely different. Let me try one more thing and see if I can't get it to show up here. Nope. Okay, well, you'll just have to trust me. I'll put it in the notes so that you can see it afterwards, but absolutely, completely life-changing. And so when we talked to his mother after the program, she said some of her biggest celebrations were Caleb's confidence. He's independent. She said there were so many things that he relied on me to do because he wasn't able to do those himself. And now he's able to be independent. He can feel confident. She said he's reading all the time. He's a completely different kid. And I'm glad that I didn't listen to what everybody else thought was possible for Caleb. Okay, and then I'll show you one more in depth. So this is Ray. She was below the 1st percentile when we started, ended at the 96th percentile. I don't know why some of these are not showing up, but that is really unfortunate. Anyhow, Ray, let me see if I can just get this for you because I really want you to see this. Let's try this. See if that'll do it. Here we go. So when we first met Ray, she wrote into our team and she said, our daughter was just diagnosed with severe dyslexia and dysgraphia. She's in 2nd grade, knows her consonants, vowels are confusing. We can blend some CVC words. And so that's not uncommon. I think most of the clients that come in have a similar issue going on. This is what she had to say after. I will share with you that when we had her assessed in February and she got her official diagnosis of dyslexia and dysgraphia with a potential dyscalculia, I was directly told, you'll never be able to overcome this on your own. You have 5 kids in the house and homeschool. You can't do this. She's going to need intensive biweekly therapy. And even with that, you're still looking at years. This is the most severe case I've ever seen. Needless to say, I wept. Though I'm a licensed teacher with a decade under my belt and have taught my other children to read, and I'm a certified Orton Gillingham phonics teacher, none of it mattered because the reality was I still hadn't managed to get her reading. It seems like she might have been right. God sovereignly had my husband's best friend give him a call to randomly check in with us the same day we happened to get her testing done. And he mentioned for the first time ever that Judah had dyslexia and they did your program. I chatted on and off with Emily, his wife, for several weeks while we did research on all our options. Fast forward to yesterday when I sent her samples to you, we all celebrated. Ray looked at her dad and said, they said I'd never be able to read, but God is in charge. You never know how much I give thanks to God for your program. It has changed our lives. It has been the tool that I believe has saved my daughter and redeemed her future. It's the best money we've ever spent, well aside from adopting our son. She got up this morning and read, I kid you not, she read the note from our elf on the shelf and said, we told the eggs a joke, it cracked them up. Then when her younger brother got up, she pulled him over and read it to him. It didn't faze her to read it twice. So I just want you to know that for every one of these families, maybe it was like Caleb, where the school didn't believe that it was possible. Maybe it was like Ray, where they said, you've got the most severe case of dyslexia we've ever seen. You can't possibly grow. I promise you that for every one of these people, they had to face the fear of, what if this doesn't work? But they absolutely dug in and did the work. And so I want to show you what it looked like for us this year for kids in different age ranges, because we are so proud of this. So I'm going to move this toolbar so I can see all this. This is all of our graduates this year. So the average kiddo that came in started at the 20th percentile. The average kid ended at the 62nd percentile. So again, when we're looking at those standard deviations, it's absolutely huge. And that's every kid across our program. This is what it looked like for 6-year-olds. So I'll just kind of quickly show you. We've got it broken apart by age. We are very, very data driven in the company. And so we know exactly how every single one of our age categories are performing. So our 6-year-olds, the average kid started at the 19th percentile, ended at the 63rd. For our, looking like this, for our 7-year-olds, wait, really just doesn't like me today. Well, everyone, I might have to show you it over here so that you can see all of this amazing data. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going, but just that we've got these broken apart by every single age range. And so this one, it looks similar across every single age range. So, you know, if we started at the average at the 20th percentile, finishing at the 62nd. Gosh, guys, I don't know why on earth it is doing this, but it doesn't like any of these. Well, that's okay. What I will do is celebrate the graduates that individually went through the program. And so I do see some of our graduates on the call today. So at the end, if any of you would like to unmute and share, I would be very happy to have you share. But I'm just going to go through and really quickly share all of our graduate data from 2025. So we had Ray, age 8, less than the first percentile to the 96th. Brian, age 12, from the 5th to the 73rd. Benny, age 7, from the 16th to the 53rd. Sullivan, age 11, from the 9th to the 82nd. Harrison, age 12, from the 21st to the 53rd. Tucker, age 8, from the 12th to the 53rd. Sierra, age 13, from the 34th to the 75th. Annie, age 9, from the 32nd to the 81st. Ashley, age 9, from the 10th to the 75th. Cody, age 8, from the 10th to the 77th. Charlie, age 11, from the 21st to the 68th. Brittany, age 8, from the 47th to the 94th. Luke, age 11, from the 70th to the 94th. Everett, age 8, from the 13th to the 82nd. Deacon, age 13, from the 68th to the 94th. Ben, age 12, from the 9th to the 34th. Caleb, age 11, from the 7th to the 79th. Brittany, age 8, from the 27th to the 90th. Esme, age 9, from the 13th to the 50th. Clay, age 6, from the 45th to the 90th. So I just want to stop on that one for a minute because this is lucky. So when you are able to catch dyslexia early, as in the case for my own children, you are able to get ahead of it before any of the other psychological things. So I can promise you that any of our clients that are in their teens here or preteens have had potentially years of telling themselves that they're not good enough, that they can't do it, that their siblings are better than them, that their friends are better than them, that they're never going to achieve. And so if you can catch this, look at what happened. So he went from being 45% accurate to being 90% accurate. He's now decoding better than most of the kids in his class at 6. And so I think there are a lot of clients who would give their left arm to be able to go back in time, to be able to catch it earlier, to be able to get the right support earlier. But for every single one of these families, it has been absolutely life-changing. And so I know that it seems like just numbers, and I don't want to dishonor these kids, so I'm just going to say their names still. Mimi, age 14, 13 to the 39th. Mason, age 12, from the 4th to the 38th. Cameron, age 14th, from the 27th to the 97th. That's huge. He's a teenage boy. Weston, age 10, from the 18th to the 77th. Emma, age 8, from the 18th to the 98th. Fallon, age 9, from the 2nd to the 34th. Evelyn, age 14th, from the 16th to the 93rd. Jace, age 6, from the 19th to the 63rd. Magdalena, age 9, from the 50th to the 95th. Hope, age 11, from the 8th to the 35th. Dylan, age 11, from the 8th to the 31st. Maya, age 8, from the 12th to the 66th. Emily, age 8, from the 61st to the 99th. We had a lot of clients make it to 99 this year, which was a huge celebration for us. Iris, age 13, from the 19th to the 55th. Zane, age 12, from the 5th to the 66th. Theodore, age 10, from the 5th to the 68th. Harper, age 7, from the 6th to the 75th. Jackson, age 9, from the 10th to the 87th. Asher, age 11, from the 61st to the 99th. Another 99th. Asher, age 9, from the 13th to the 94th. Huge, huge. I can't stress statistically how huge that is. Jasmine, age 10, from the 18th to the 55th. Lila, age 9, from the 27th to the 42nd. Madeline, age 13th, from the 5th to the 27th. Colin, age 6, from the 27th to the 68th. Leo, age 6, from the 45th to the 82nd. Again, so lucky. Grace, age 16, from the 32nd to the 63rd. CJ, age 12, from the 14th to the 93rd. Izzy, age 13, from the 4th to the 45th. Amy, age 13, from the 23rd to the 63rd. Juliet, age 10, from the 34th to the 99th. Oh, okay, we're getting there, everybody. Philip, age 8, from the 8th to the 91st. Andrew, age 12, from the 4th to the 42nd. Daniel, age 12, from the 7th to the 42nd. Stone, age 16, from the 34th to the 81st. This is huge too. So a lot of kids in their teens have tried and tried and tried and tried. They have been in interventions, they have been to tutoring, they have done all of the things. And so sometimes when their parents say, and we're going to do another thing, it takes a real level of courage. But what is true for Stone's mom and what is true for every other teenage client that we have ever served is that they have to believe that there is better for that child. And so what the system and structure around Stone was wanting to do was to accommodate him. Let's give him AI tools. Let's give him spell check. Let's give him books on tape. Let's just accommodate him. But what she wanted for him was for him to actually be able to read. He's at the 81st percentile and he is reading all of the time. It is life changing. Jackson, age 12, from the 23rd to the 99th. Nathan, age 10, from the 2nd to the 61st. Paprika, age 9, from the 1st to the 99th. Riley, yay. Joy Song, age 12, from the 1st to the 99th. Crew, age 10, from the 8th to the 32nd. Nathan, age 8, from the 8th to the 61st. Ethan, age 8, from the 27th to the 90th. Tessa, age 10, from the 53rd to the 81st. Miles, age 9, from the 27th to the 50th. Hallie, age 13, from the 4th to the 25th. And Ella, age 12, from the 47th to the 95th. So I felt like it, for all of the work that they did over those months, I feel like it was important for me to honor every one of those kids and every one of those families that showed up to do that work. So I want to celebrate the parent participants and sometimes grandparent participants who remained consistent with the work. So I promise you that there was not a magic wand that got raised over these families. That was consistent work. And so for some families, they were committed every single day, 7 days a week for 10 to 15 minutes, they did the work. For some of those families, other things in life happened. They negotiated with their kid that they would do 5 days a week instead of 7. Maybe somebody got sick. Maybe people had to move. There were things and extraneous variables that they couldn't always control, that we couldn't control. But they maintained a positive attitude for their child. They held the belief that they were able to do anything they put their mind to. They remained coachable with us throughout this process. So we are embedded with the families. This is a very high touch program where you have coaching every single week. You have the ability to get support, to learn what you're doing well and not well, to ask questions, to have a community there to support you. And so what I can promise you is that there were adversities that showed up for these families, but every single one of these people decided that getting their child to read and doing the process step by step that we told them was worth their time and their effort. And holy cow, did it pay off. So I think there's just some fundamental beliefs that I want to acknowledge that all of our clients have. They all have said the current situation is unacceptable. We cannot accept any longer that either my child is being treated this way, or that my child feels this way, or that their skill level is like this. And they've decided that the traditional approach is insufficient. They have not been successful in what they've been doing, and so they chose to use an approach that actually got at the root cause, which is the brain's lack of activity between these two lobes. When you put those two things together, I'm sure that you can see this through the data, this is what happens. This is neuroscience in action. This is what happens when you show up to do work 10 to 15 minutes a day. It's that power of neuroplasticity through repetition. You've got to do the right things, and you've got to do them in the right order. And you have to make sure that your child's mastered one level before you move on to the next. But we'll coach you through all of that. But that really, really matters. So I think it's important to also believe that your child deserves this opportunity. Yes, they could have AI read it to them. Yes, they could have a spell checker for the rest of their life. Yes, they could have audiobooks. But somewhere fundamentally, you have to believe that they deserve the opportunity to read, that they deserve to be independent, that they deserve to feel confident with something as important as reading. And they also realize the cost of inaction exceeds the cost of action. So every year that you wait and every year that you don't do, things do get exponentially harder because those beliefs become more ingrained, the skills get further behind, it's all of the things. So we are really, really proud of this, but when we go back to what kind of growth happens in a typical year, this is what happens on average to the clients in Retrain the Dyslexic Brain. And this is what happened in 2025. So we are just super, super proud of this. It's increased academic performance for these kids. It's increased self-esteem and confidence. It's given them better mental health, greater access to opportunities. So before we close out, I know that some of you might be in a situation where you're still trying to figure it out. I noticed some things that are happening with my kiddo. Maybe you, as we were looking at some of the writing samples, or as I was describing what some of that looked like for those clients, things were going off for you, saying, I think that that's actually me. We have dyslexia discovery workshops that happen every few weeks. We actually have one happening at the end of the month, but those are 90-minute workshops where we will give you all of the tools that you need to be able to assess your child in your home to figure out whether or not they're actually dealing with dyslexia. So we'll teach you how to give 3 norm referenced assessments so that you don't have to be on the 6-month waiting list, so that you don't have to do a full neuropsych exam. You can figure out through 3 different pieces of data if this is what your child is actually dealing with. Or if you are in a place where you've been tutoring, or you just found out that your child is dyslexic, or things are not going well for your kiddo and you want to figure out if you would be a candidate, we do have a complimentary call that we would do for anybody to see whether or not this is a fit. So if that's you and you would like some help, either send me a DM, put your email in the chat, and we'll have somebody from the team get in touch with you to give you some support. But with that, I would like to thank you for being here, for celebrating these kids, for celebrating these families, and for the hope of what is possible neurologically with the right support. So thank you. Anybody that is here, I know that we do have some of our graduates on. Yay, I actually see several of you on. Is there anybody who would like to share a celebration or share any commentary before we close out? Riley? Okay, hold on. Let me just stop the share. Nice to see you guys.
Hi. Can you hear us now?
I sure can. Nice to see you.
Okay, awesome.
We're still so excited about the progress of both of the girls, Paprika and Joy Song. Joy Song is now reading encyclopedias. We would never have been able to have read them to her. She's discovering that being satisfied by just clicking on read to me is not going to work with all of her interests.
Yeah,
and she's thrilled. She brings me down stacks of books that she has been reading for me to write in our little program.
We found out there's a limit at the library how many books you can have checked out at one time.
That is a great problem to have, you guys. That is a fantastic problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much.
Paprika is looking so forward to her next grade. We're about to start her next grade now, and
They're
she
catching up with school.
They almost caught up. They were so far behind when we started.
Yeah.
And they were in tears. I mean, it was a big time problem. We had to stop all school.
I
for
was
just
in
a little
tears.
While.
I came to my mom to help homeschool because I thought I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know what to do. The reading. She had so much training with helping because I had trouble reading, and so I thought she was a miracle worker, could do it, and then I found out she couldn't either. There was something wrong.
So yeah, even people with training, to come to your program and find that, oh my goodness, it was a whole world different from what we had been trying before. So thank you again, Dr. Troy. The program works.
It does work. It does.
You guys have done a fantastic job, and thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing, and congratulations to your whole family. Super proud of you guys. Thank you. Courtney, nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, doing good. So happy to be here. I told my husband, I said, I'm going to jump on here because I like the idea of the celebration. I missed that from the weekly calls. So Emma is just so happy, and I might even cry right now. Before Christmas, they did a thing where they invited parents to come into the class, and she had to read a story, and she got up there with no fear, and she read. And even when she got over some words that she had to like kind of take back and look at again, she's like, oh, wait, it's that. I got it. And then she kept going. So it was awesome to know that she's okay now. No more fear, no more crying that she can't read like her peers. So it's awesome. And then Ava is constantly uh, getting books out of the library at school and bringing them home. But a lot of them are like well above grade level. So I'm like, okay, we can read these together. You still have to read yours because
So excited.
she's like, but she'll bring home 5 books at a time and want to read them all. And I'm like, it might be good to read through one and then get another one.
Oh, Ava.
But they're so happy. Mhm.
Oh, Courtney, thank you for sharing that, and congratulations to you. I know you were and still are one of the most committed moms that I know, and there's not a thing that you wouldn't do for those girls. So it shows, and your data shows, and you did a beautiful job. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Mhm. Awesome. Okay, anybody else who would like to share a celebration or anything else? You're welcome to if you'd like. Okay, awesome. Well, I just, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank these amazing families and congratulate these amazing kids. We are super proud of the way that we do things, that we care for families. I know that there's some incredible members of our team that are on this call too. And so I think it's just a really great honor for me to be able to be here in this moment sharing all of this incredible data. So if you are somebody who is right in the thick of it, I promise you that there is hope, that it doesn't have to stay this way, that the brain is capable of growth, the brain is capable of change, but you just have to do the right things and you have to be committed to doing something about it. You gotta do the work. It's not a fairy wand. I wish it was, but it is worth it. Every single minute of it is worth it to have a confident, happy reading child, spelling child who is feeling like they can accomplish anything. So I thank you all for being here with us this morning, and sorry for the technical difficulties. I'll figure out what happened there and I'll send you all a copy of that so that you can look at the data. But I am really glad that you all came. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you.